Eric Swalwell lied to all of us. He lied to the most powerful people in this country. And they trusted him. They trusted him with some of the most sensitive spots in our government, whether it was on Judiciary Committee, Intel Committee, impeaching Donald Trump. And that clouded my judgment, my friendship with him, our family's friendship together with him clouded my judgment. And I was wrong. I deeply, deeply regret that.
Not good. That's not good. I was like, I don't hear nothing. I don't hear nothing. I hear nothing. This time I got it without even seeing any yell at me. So there you go. Let's do that one more time. Let's do that one more time. That's because I sound much better now. Believe it or not, I actually enjoy hearing the sound of my own voice in my head. It's a weird thing, but it's true. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Fire Program. I'm your host, Joe Nierman, Good Lawgic. I hope you all had a phenomenal day since we last got together. We were talking last night about Eric Swalwell. A lot of conversation about Eric Swalwell. I got more on that because there's more developments. A lot more development. There's a lot more going on. There's stuff you needs to know, and it's my job to bring it to you. So there's stuff you needs to know, but the upshot of Eric Swalwell is that Eric Swalwell scandal, the Eric Swalwell scandal, is likely starting to spill over to some of his friends. Most notably, I was going to say notoriously, but I was like, no, notably is probably better. Most notably, Ruben Gallego. That's right, Senator Ruben Gallego might be caught up in the fray. He might have a problem or two. Plus, it seems as if we might be looking at criminal investigations into Eric Swalwell. This guy might be in jail in a year. True. It's not like he has the protections. Those of you who are saying, what are you talking about, Joey boy? Our government doesn't go after big name figures. They don't prosecute people for crimes if they have a name, if they have any sort of name recognition and they're from the left. We can name off all sorts of people who we all would love to see get indicted. And yet the current DOJ recently assumed the head of the DOJ position assumed by Todd Blanche, but seems pretty not interested in actually targeting people like Barack Obama, people like Hillary Clinton, people like James Clapper, John Brennan. Very half-hearted attempt at Comey. So why should we think they're going to go after Swalwell? Well, here are reasons they might go after Swalwell. There's no protection. No one's protecting Swalwell. Everyone is distancing. Everyone is just, whoa. I'm taking 10 steps back from this guy. He has become the public pariah, even amongst the left. You see, I think that they're afraid of the left somewhat, which is why they don't go after those larger names that we talk about. That's why they don't go after the Adam Schiffs of the world, because I think that there's some sort of fear. But when you're talking about someone who the left would be like, oh yeah, go get this guy, we don't give a damn about him, Swalwell might be looking at some problems. He might be looking at some problems because it's a very popular thing. See, people don't like doing what's unpopular. That's another reason. It's not simply that he's a public pariah even amongst the left now. No. Everyone likes doing the popular thing and going after someone who is slimy against women. That's a popular thing to go after, right? I mean, people like that. They're like, oh, okay, who's going to be mad at me for going after a guy who was, cheating on his wife with every pretty smile he can get his hands on, or that's the most family-oriented way I can phrase that. So it's a popular thing to do. You're Eric Swalwell right now. You're probably sweating bullets that, these claims, and we're going to look more at some of these claims, we're going to look a little bit more closely at that's just how serious some of these claims are. We talked about them somewhat last night. I'm going to go into more detail. Hear the actual statement from a woman who says that she was violently assaulted in the most unforgivable way by Eric Swalwell. So if she has credibility, you have to ask yourself, why would they not go after him? Like, who's standing in their way? It's not the left. The left is terrified of trying to stand up for Eric Swalwell. So this looks like it's going to be swinging back at other people potentially also. You know, I think this is another part of the backlash, the whole Epstein files, is I think that people have a hunger to punish the prurient element amongst the elite. There's I would say an unprecedented amount of public appetite to excoriate, lambast, and imprison, shame folks who abuse power for their own sexual gratification. And this is part of, I think, the Epstein thing. You know, the left tried making this the it thing with the whole Me Too movement. They tried making it the it thing with that, but that really didn't whet the appetite of the public, I think, nearly as much as the Epstein files. Because that was like an inorganic trying to push people into like, hey, let's make a popular thing of Me Too and let's carry it ridiculously too far, believe all women, and assume that all women are saints and that every woman who tells us her truth is telling the truth. It's retarded and it's stupid. But this is a genuine appetite, frustration, a sickness. It's actually a repulsion. We're repulsed by the abuse of power that's being so wantonly displayed, and people taking out their appetites on those who are weaker, those who don't have power, simply because they're attracted to them. So I think that that's part of the reason why I think there's very much an overlap here in what's pushing the public to basically say, hey, here's another guy who was abusing his position of power to basically, you know, stick his wang anywhere he wanted. And people are disgusted by it, and rightfully so. Do you think it's a reawakening of more chaste perspective from the public? Do you think that I'm asking you this legitimately? Do you think that you tell me? Do you think that this is like a reflection of a public which is kind of tired of they're tired of just how immoral our society has become, just how sickeningly starved they seem to be for the new thing of some sort of twisted sexual deviancy, and they're just sort of looking for more wholesomeness? Or do you think it's merely an anger towards the abuse of power, and it's sort of like the masses trying to rise up against the powerful for abusing those positions? Because you can really make a pretty strong case in either direction. Maybe I have up there a goal that if we hit 15 super chats in the next 2 hours, which frankly we started late. When I start late, it's less likely we're going to hit the goal. But who knows? Maybe we will. If we hit that goal, I am going to be giving us an extra hour of phone call time where I'm going to be taking your calls and I'll have conversations with you about the goings-ons in society today, like what's happening. And I actually think that there's a lot of very interesting analysis, and I'll be looking to pick your brain about like what you think with respect to what is moving the needle in the direction that it is. And do you think that this is something that's going to continue moving in this direction, or will this filter out and die out over the next year or two? Because I can really make a pretty strong argument either way on that one too. You could probably talk me into that. That's if we hit our goal, which we sometimes do, sometimes don't. Yesterday we did. Last week I don't think we did. Last week, I think one time we did, twice we did. I don't know, sometimes we do. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. It's really like a 50-50 thing. That's what I'm feeling like. It's like a 50-50 thing on whether we hit our goal. So the goal is 15 super chats in quantities of $10 more. We count Rumble Rants. I give a little added bonus if there's a little added juice into the super chat. Try to give a little bonus on for that because I think it's appropriate. And my objective is try to reach the goal. So if it feels as if like, yeah, we're in the right zone, even if we don't quite hit it, I'm going to give you the nod just because I'm not looking to shortchange y'all. I like you. You're good people. The other topic tonight is Trump's war with Pope Leo XIV. And basically it's Trump versus the Catholics. And this is getting a lot more intense than I anticipated doing. I'll throw in one more little bonus thing. If we hit our goal tonight, I should have thrown this in the thing. I'll also go over Judge Boasberg blocked by the circuit court in a decision where he basically was told to clamp down his entire investigation into contempt proceedings that he was looking to start up against the Trump administration based on all the flights that he was ordering back. And the circuit court said, knock it off, which is delicious and awesome. So if you're interested in that, I can throw that in. Probably. Probably. But like I said, these are all just pipe dreams because I don't think we're going to hit the goal. I'll be very surprised we hit the goal. I can pretty much promise you, that I'll do magic tricks. Like I'll do like escaping from like a tank filled with piranha on camera here for you if we hit the goal tonight, because I'm pretty sure we're not going to hit the goal. So why not? If we hit the goal, if we hit it, I think a lot of people are like this. I think a lot of devout Catholics are like, why are you talking about politics? Why are you talking about politics? But we'll get to that. That's part of what I plan on covering tonight. That's part of what I plan on covering. And somehow it always comes back to the juice. The juice. I don't know why, but it does. Where should we start tonight? Let's start with Eric Swalwell, just because who can get enough of that? Yesterday, I shared with you a video. Yesterday, a little clipsies of Eric Swalwell. It had little segments of Eric Swalwell carousing on his own marital bed, supposedly. I don't know. Never seen his house, but folks are saying it's his own marital bed with a couple of women, younger women. I'm going to assume not underage. They're probably not underage. When I say I'm not assuming, I'm saying that, like, not only am I assuming that, I'd be surprised if I'll go further. I'd be surprised if they were underage. So I don't want to imply anything about Eric Swalwell that has not already been implied about against him, because Lord knows that the truth is damning enough when it comes to Eric Swalwell. You don't need to spice it up. Why spice it up? It's spicy enough already. So yeah, but they did have a couple of women there. It seemed like they were workers in a particular industry where they've seen a lot of bedrooms potentially. And there was a 4-second clip and a 7-second clip. And in one of those clips, it looked as if there was someone there who was another dude with him on the bed there, just sort of carousing around with him, who looked like Ruben Gallego. There's no other ways to put it. It just looked a lot like Ruben Gallego. So yeah, here's Jack Posobiec talking about this a little bit. Oh, that's not working. There you go.
Jack, good to see you again. You're the first person to share this video. First of all, the video is real. How do we know this?
Well, that's the video, and that's the second guy. This is Eric Swalwell. In case you haven't seen the video yet, I'm not sure what rock you've been living under, but this over here in the blue shirt is Eric Swalwell. Undeniably. I don't think he's even tried denying it. And no one knows who this other dude is. This dude over here, which some people, myself included, I'm actually believing more and more that it is Ruben Gallego. But anyway, let's hear from Jack Posobiec.
First of all, the video is real. How do we know this?
Well, and Thanks for having me on. I wish, of course, it was under other circumstances, but this video, which I received, it also came in with a file that I'm happy to send over to the team and to anyone off the record regarding the, and put it on the record, I should say, explaining the veracity and the AI debunking that this was AI, debunking that there are watermarks in this, debunking that these claims that this was somehow generated. We know we live in an era of so many fake videos. And unfortunately, it seems to be that this is the real one. We had, a group go through and actually ascertain the veracity of this. Myself, Martin Shkreli, had another portion of the video that he released.
And Jack, can I just say, I don't mean to cut you off.
It's very, very disturbing.
Okay, so first of all, two things. And Lauren, I know you know Swallwell. Look at the socks that Swallwell is wearing. Only Eric Swalwell would wear those socks. If this were AI generated, those would not be those socks right there. And then if this was really a fake video, the guy's married, he's got kids.
I'm just gonna point out, okay? Because I gotta be real with you. If I'm not real with you, why would you even bother coming here? I personally don't think the socks are that bad. I really don't. I think that's nitpicking. I think the socks are not anything strange.
If this was fake, wouldn't you scream from the top of a mountain, Jack, if this was fake, that this is not a real video? And he hasn't said anything about any of these videos that have come out over the last 48 hours, Jack.
No, he is not. And, we're told, as a matter of fact, that one of the reasons for that could very well be that there is, in fact, more to the video. I'm told that, in fact, the entire night was filmed on video. I've not received that portion of the video yet from the initial source, but I can confirm at this point, at least, that law enforcement is involved.
Okay, law enforcement's involved in more video.
Law enforcement is involved. Ruh-roh. That's not good. That's not good for him.
Video is coming out. TMZ has indicated the same thing, that there are more videos. Congresswoman.
And the public is like, here it comes. We need more video. Give us more video. That's just the way it goes. Some things will never change. Someone try a song like that. He did officially resign from Congress today. We should hear the reading of his resignation letter in Congress, because that's something you don't see every day. So in case you haven't seen it yet, you should, because this is not something you see every day.
The Honorable, the Speaker, House of Representatives, sir. I am deeply sorry to my family, staff, and constituents for mistakes and judgment I've made in my past. I will fight the serious false allegations made against me. However, I must take responsibility and ownership for the mistakes I did make. I am aware of efforts to bring an immediate expulsion vote against me and other members.
See, and here's the problem that Eric Swalwell has. He doesn't say what mistakes he made. He says there's so much false, but he's like, I do apologize for the mistakes I've made. What mistakes? When you don't clarify it, that means you don't really feel bad about the mistakes you made. Because if you felt bad about it, you would apologize specifically. You'd say, I want you to know this thing that I did was wrong, and I feel terrible about it. That is the emptiest possible apology that you can give when you say, I'm sorry for mistakes that I made. Now, as a general rule, I think the idea of apologizing to the masses is stupid. The masses want you to apologize. That's stupid. Whenever you've offended or harmed the masses, there's no way you can ever get their forgiveness en masse. The only way you could get it would be going person to person. It's stupid. It's empty. It's the most meaningless virtue signaling imaginable. So you have this virtue signaling Democrat who goes out virtue signaling, which is, I guess, appropriate. And the point that I'm making here is, so, the emptiness of this apology is when he's like, the mistakes I've made. What mistakes? Tell us what mistakes you made. What do you think are mistakes you made? Tell us one. Do you know a single mistake that he admits to making? He apologizes for mistakes. Oh, I'm so sorry about the mistakes. What mistakes? Tell us what.
For the mistakes I did make. I am aware of efforts to bring an immediate expulsion vote against me and other members. Expelling anyone in Congress without due process within days of an allegation being made is wrong.
I happen to think that that's actually, as a statement I agree with. Expelling someone without due process would be wrong. Obviously, anyone who's in Congress has worked very hard to get there, and taking that away from them without due process just feels wrong. It does. It does. Now, I think there should be immediate proceedings launched into like removing him, but it's not like you call for a vote without actually, having some sort of hearing on it. It's a little bit messed up. I think the Democrats wanted him out more than Republicans did. I think that they were looking at him as an anchor who was weighing them down.
But it's also wrong for my constituents to have me distracted from my duties. Therefore, I plan to resign my seat in Congress effective at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on April 14th, 2026. I will work with my staff in the coming days to ensure they are able, in my absence, to serve the needs of the good people of the 14th Congressional District. Signed sincerely, Eric Swalwell.
So there you go. It's been read into the record. It's official. He's resigned as of 2 p.m. today. He's out. He's gone. He's no more a congressman than you or me. Well, I guess you might be more of a congressman than him. I don't know. This might be viewed now by Ted Cruz or someone. I have no idea who's watching me. So, in case you are there, hey Ted, thanks for stopping by. Drop a super chat. Chalk it up as a campaign thing. Other guy X says, I need Joe's take on Boasberg. Let's get that extra hour. I will give you my take on Boasberg if we get that extra hour. That'll definitely happen. That will happen. Then we have this. So more on Eric Swalwell, because I want to just let's shoot the load on Eric Swalwell. Let's do this. Let's do Swalwell the Swalwell way. Lana Drews, in 2018, the year she says she met Eric Swalwell 3 times related to a fashion software company she owns. This morning, Drews held a press conference alleging that Swalwell drugged her drink on that 3rd occasion, then asked her to stop by his hotel room with him to get some papers for heading to a political event together. She says she was already incapacitated when she got to the hotel room, and Swalwell then raped her and choked her until she lost consciousness. Drews and her attorney will be reporting the assault to the LA Police Department shortly. Why are you reporting it now? And this is something that bothers me. Because this happened in 2018. And people will say, I was afraid because he had so much power, because he's a congressman, so I was afraid. It's like, you're reporting it now? This is people say, and people will come out and say, you're so brave. Oh, you're so brave. Oh, you're so brave. I'm not saying it didn't happen. It may have happened. Given what we know about Eric Swalwell, it's consistent with the sort of things that probably happened. So maybe it did happen. I'm simply saying, I don't want to hear people talking about how brave she is, because this is the opposite of brave. This is going out there when there's already a mob that's coming after him and saying, I want to pile on. And you're going to file a police report now? It's happened in 2018, 8 years ago. It's a long time. It's a really long time. So I don't know what you're doing. Is that harsh of me? You tell me. I'm curious. You think that's a harsh assessment? That I'm just like, where the hell were you? Coming out now. Very, very nice. And we have this other one, former staffer. This is a lot more recent. So this one, I'm like, okay, all right. Just to be clear, this brave woman was not accusing Eric Swalwell of some type of inappropriate touch that happened 30 years ago. She told CNN that he raped her in 2024. I told him no, and he didn't stop. Like I said, the whole left is coming after him.
4 women are accusing Congressman Eric Swalwell with sexual misconduct, including a former staffer who says he raped her. The allegations against the prominent Democratic candidate for governor range from inappropriate messages and pictures to unwanted kissing and touching, and in one case, rape, from a woman we spoke to on camera in shadow to protect her identity due to professional retaliation concerns. She is a former...
I'm sorry. You know, it probably looks rude that I was like, started laughing during this story. I'm not laughing at this story. I was actually laughing at a super chat. This one here from J.H. Schwalbeck. Had me laughing. Joe, I feel like one of Swallwell's victims. I never know when you're going to jump into my boxers. Last night, I didn't see your post until halfway through the show. I'm sure Jim would be a cheap Evid. That's funny. That's funny. I don't know how cheap it'd be. Evid is a Hebrew word for slave, in case you're wondering. That's what he was saying. That's what he was saying there. It was only says, Joe, the real uh-oh is this person filming might have been underage. What? Uh-oh. That's not good. And I just was saying, we don't have any reason to think he dealt with the underage crowd. She did make a statement. I shared a clip of her saying who was filming, but we didn't know what that meant. So it was a very vague. Anna Polina Luna drops explosive allegation on Jesse Watters' show, claims the individual who filmed Eric Swalwell kissing alleged sex worker was underage. All right, let's see if we have a clip here. Give us a clip. Can you give us a clip?
Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna is on the Oversight Committee, and she joins us now. All right, Congressman, what was Swalwell like in Congress? Did he have a rep?
Yeah, he did have a reputation. And as you know, Jesse, I was actually the member of Congress that wrote the expulsion resolution for him. And I was ready to call it up and did tell him that if he did not resign by tomorrow, that it would be filed. And we did have the votes to expel him from Congress. So what I will say is that many people on the Hill knew about this. Many reporters have come forward, even in talking to me, saying that they had heard stories about this. But I do think that he has serious criminal problems on his hand. And I do think that he might end up in jail, Jesse. And if I could just share with you for a moment, not only did I receive forensic reporting showing that, you know, that infamous video of him in the hotel room was indeed him. It was not AI generated. But I'm also being told that more stuff is going to be dropping in the next 24 hours. And then also potentially the individual that recorded that video in that hotel room, Jesse, was a female and she was underage.
Oh.
Ruh-roh. Now, maybe there was no sexual activity. Maybe. I guess it was a hotel room, not his house. Because I kept thinking it was his house, but now we're saying a hotel room. That's what she said, right? So we definitely need more information on the location there. Because I did see something saying it was his house. I've said a few times it's his house. And Anna Polina Luna is saying it was a hotel. Either way, the location is far less important than the severity of what went down. We don't know if there was sexual activity there. It looked like it was a flirty type of thing happening. We also don't know if there were minors. See, that's an interesting question. Let's assume, let's try and give him the benefit of the doubt. Let's play defense counsel for Eric Swalwell here for a moment. If there was a girl underage and there was sexual activity, but she was simply filming, is that a crime? That's my question. Is that a crime? All right. I don't know. I think that's an interesting question. I'm going to ask Grok. So at least point me in a direction. I warn you that Grok is the most intelligent, retarded person you've ever met. But let's see what he can give us. Hey, Grok, you there?
Yeah, I'm right here. What's up?
Is there a federal crime in having underage woman filming you having consensual sex with a woman who's not underage?
Yes, it's a federal crime. Any video showing a minor under 18 in sexually explicit conduct, like having sex.
Stop. I didn't say that the underage person was involved in the sexual activity as far as touching any person. The role of the child was simply as the filmer, the person who was filming everything, but not actually engaging in physical conduct. Is that a federal crime?
No, that's not a federal child pornography crime. The federal definition in 18 U.S.C. paragraph 2256 requires the visual depiction to involve a minor engaging in sexually explicit conduct, meaning the underage person has to be the one in the sex scene, not just holding the camera. If the underage woman
Okay, but
only
what
filming
about other potentially federal crimes, like, you know, having sex with a minor, but you're not actually having sex with her, she's just in the room?
No, that's not a federal crime either. Federal law doesn't criminalize an adult having consensual sex in the presence of a minor who's just watching or in the room. There's no federal statute that makes it illegal to have sex while a minor is present but not participating. The closest federal laws are child pornography statutes, which we've already covered. Those only kick in if the minor is in the video or photos. Being in the room
Is there a federal
doesn't trigger
crime
them.
involving sharing pornography with a minor?
Yes, that's a federal crime. Under 18 U.S.C. partial 1470, it's illegal to knowingly transfer obscene material to someone under 16. If the minor is 16 or 17, it's not a federal crime under that statute.
So why
Though
would
many
why
states
would
have-
an act of sex be different than actually sharing a video pornography? So what you're implying here is that you can have live sex in front of a woman, a girl who's underage, but you cannot share with her a video of it afterwards.
The difference is that one is a specific federal statute and the other isn't. Section 1470 makes it a federal crime to transfer obscene material to anyone under 16 using mail or interstate commerce, like sending a video. That's why sharing the recording can be illegal, but there's no matching federal law that says having live sex where a minor can see it is a crime. No statute directly prohibits performing a sex act in the presence of a minor if the minor isn't participating or being filmed.
So the issue here, and the reason why what Grok is saying makes sense, is because you wouldn't have a way of creating a federal level crime. In order for there to be a federal crime, you need to have there being some sort of interstate transmission. And you could have an interstate transmission by using the internet. Even if you're in the same room with someone, you share a file with them, you're in the room with them, by using the internet, that's considered using interstate transmission. So in that sense, the federal government might be able to reach in there and punish you for doing that. But if you're not actually using some sort of interstate communication format, it would be challenging to figure out why the federal government would have an interest in someone engaged in the crime. So that would explain, if those of you, in case you were a little confused by what I was asking Grok. So I was just curious because Anna Paulina Luna is reporting here that the woman who was filming them was underage. Now, that's not an allegation that the underage filmer, was involved in any sort of sexual activity. If she was, that opens up a whole host of other potential problems. But if she's not engaged, she's simply filming. In that case, I don't think it's a crime, personally. I could be mistaken. So if someone can point me to a charge and say, "Hey, Joe, what about this?" and you can very likely talk me into it. But off the top of my head, I can't think of a crime it is. I haven't seen any evidence she was underage. All the arrows are pointing to something. We haven't seen any evidence that any of these women are over the age of 14. All the hours of pointing. All the hours of pointing, Eric. Master debater stealing from Eric Swalwell's own language, borrowing from his language. So thank you for sharing all that with me. That all came courtesy of Uzelli, who just sort of popped on in here and shared a link to this to me, with me. Getting back here. Okay, where were we at over here? So this was in case we tangented off from just because Brave Woman was not accusing Eric Swalwell of some type of inappropriate touching that happened 30 years ago. She told CNN that he raped her in 2024. I told him no, and he didn't stop.
Swallwell staffer. She says it began when she was 21 years old. There were two very serious sexual assault allegations. She made one in 2019 as a staffer, the other from 2024 once she left his office. She also described inappropriate messages and nude images with the...
See, the problem I have with, and I'm I'm not going to kid you, there's so many different claims. I never know if I'm hearing the same claim for the fourth time, or this is a different claim. Like, it's very, very hard when I'm collating all these different clips. I'm like, I don't know if I'm telling you the same thing 9 times because we never get names. And I understand you want to protect the victims and not give names, but maybe we can have some sort of unifying, identifying feature so we know who you're talking about. You know, we just call them by, like, we'll call this one Jane, call that one Rita, call this one, Mary, a little bit of Rita, a little bit of Tina. Do a whole mama number 5 on you.
Congressman using Snapchat with disappearing messages. Now, after the first incident where she said she woke up in his hotel room as a staffer naked after a night of heavy drinking, she told us about what she says happened several years later in 2024 after she left his office. And I want to warn you, what you're about to hear is graphic.
I decided to ask him to meet me for a drink. And I did this because I was so far removed from what had happened in 2019.
Really?
I felt safe.
Really?
Because I was established. I had a partner. I felt more secure that I could have a strictly professional relationship with this person.
No. It's not you. It's him. Like, okay, I need to just pause, okay? Because I'm just going to, this is a public service announcement moment, okay? Ladies, I know I don't have a lot of women in this Swalwell demographic. They're not a large number of my demographic. They're really not my target market. If you are in that demographic, though, in case a couple of you are, which statistics say at least 1 or 2 of you are, if you ever find yourself on the receiving end of some sort of level of abuse from someone, it's very natural and normal for you to blame yourself. You should not do that. It's not you, it's them. There's something sick and twisted inside of them. They might choose a victim based on who's most accessible. That's true. But you should never assume they're going to limit themselves to that, or that now your status has changed, your stature has changed. You might have changed, but this animal hasn't. You never should assume that the animal has changed. So you go taking an animal out for drinks? What is wrong with you? I mean, it wasn't, oh, he took advantage of you because you didn't have a partner. If only you had a partner that he wouldn't take advantage of you, but now you have a partner. Now I'm safe. What? If only you were more established, he wouldn't take advantage of you, but now you're more established. Now you're safe. It's like, how stupid. Don't be that. That's what I'm saying. That's the public service announcement. Don't be that. Don't assume it was some sort of setup of scenarios about you that made this outcome the outcome that happened. Okay? Understand it's the beast. It's that dude. that's sick, twisted, and can't control himself. He's the problem. It's not you. And in any environment he's in, that beast is just as likely to come out, no matter how your status or stature has changed. Okay? So let's don't be this. Don't be this woman. It's a naive fool.
After that bar closed, we went to another. I went to the bathroom and I don't remember anything after that.
Surprise,
remember anything?
surprise.
I remember the next day, I can see flashes of that evening of him on top of me pushing him off, him grabbing me. It was a lot more aggressive. It was aggressive.
Did you say no?
Yes, I said no. In my flash that I can recall, I was pushing him off of me saying no.
And what did he do?
He didn't stop.
He didn't stop. And you woke up the next morning.
I woke up the next morning naked, alone in his hotel room. I, for a moment, didn't even know I was in his hotel room. That's how intoxicated I was. And I called my mom, the only person I could think that could help me.
We were able to corroborate that by speaking with friends and family she confided in, reviewing photos and screenshots of contemporaneous text messages. In a statement, Congressman Swallwell says these allegations are false and come on the eve of an election against the frontrunner for governor. For nearly 20 years, I have served the public as a prosecutor and a congressman and have always protected women. I will defend myself with the facts and, where necessary, bring legal action. My focus in the coming days is to be with my wife and children and defend our decades of service against these lies.
Yeah. Good luck there. Good luck there. Good luck. Joe, couldn't it be a federal crime under lewd and lascivious conduct in the presence of a minor? I didn't specifically ask that question. I didn't, but I can ask just because I figure you've been a member here for 10 months. So you come to rely on me, and properly so. So I sort of feel it's incumbent upon me to fill that role for you. So we can ask. Hey, Grok, is there a federal crime for engaging in lewd and lascivious conduct in the presence of a minor?
No, there isn't a specific federal statute that directly criminalizes lewd and lascivious conduct in the presence of a minor the way many state laws do. That exact phrase is mostly a state-level crime, like Florida's 800.04 or California's Penal Code 288, covering things like touching a minor sexually, soliciting them, or performing sexual acts in front of them. Federally, you have strong child exploitation laws under Title 18 of the U.S. Code, like 18 U.S.C. 2251 and related sections on producing, distributing, or possessing child pornography, which includes lascivious exhibition of a minor's genitals, laws against transferring obscene material to a minor via mail or interstate.
And the reason for this, Rob, is because how does it become a federal matter? How are the feds getting involved? You need to have some sort of interstate conduct in order for it to be a federal matter. So that's why I don't think that this is. I don't think we're. Look, we don't know enough about the facts. Maybe the kid was involved. Hopefully they weren't, but maybe they were. In which case he would be in serious trouble. As much as I don't like Swallwell, I don't find these women to be credible. I think this is a way for them to get rid of him because they're scared that they'll lose California. I think you're almost certainly correct. Almost certainly correct. It's definitely a massive factor here. Resignation says, Joe, here you go, not a federal, but often a state crime. It would be along the lines of corruption of a minor. Yeah, that's what we were just hearing. That's what we're hearing. You think you need a California prosecutor after him? Maybe some sort of DC statute? Really depends on where these things happen. Could be in DC, could be in Virginia somewhere where a lot of DC folk live. I don't know. I don't know. We don't know enough about the situation. Paul Zappola did a good job breaking his whole story down with this particular girl. So, how she started off by talking about oral sex in 2019, and this probably saw. I don't even know what
Reached out to him at all. I kept figuring out ways to blame myself. I shouldn't have reached out to him at all. I should have left. I should have done this. Well, Eric shouldn't have raped me.
This Capitol Hill staffer is coming forward for the first time on camera to talk about her experience with Congressman Eric Swalwell. He is now a leading Democratic candidate for governor of California.
Let's get together, make the biggest wave this state has ever seen.
Swalwell was in his late
30s. And this CNN story was the start of his. This is where you knew that Democrats were out to get him, because CNN normally wouldn't cover this.
30s and married when she joined his office as an intern and became a junior staffer. She's speaking in shadow as she fears professional consequences.
It was in 2019. I was, again, driving him to an event. This was my job.
And you were 21 years old.
And I was 21 years old. We see some sort of parking lot and he says to pull over. He pulls out his penis and instructs me to give him oral sex. And I started to. Again, I felt incredibly uncomfortable. And I stopped and I said to him, this feels really uncomfortable and anyone could see us right now. And he said to me, you're right. It's probably not good for a congressman to be caught with his pants down.
Swalwell calls her allegations false. His campaign responded earlier to vague accusations on social media related to his behavior with staffers.
Did it really? I didn't notice that.
Did you ever behave inappropriately with female staffers?
No.
Hold on a second. I'll give you the horn. 1 year, me and you, brother. 1 full year, 12 months. Happy anniversary. I did not notice that the tweet of the shadow girl labeled Swalwell as Republican. No. I mean, this tweet? Is it this one? I don't see that anywhere. I'm not sure. Not sure.
It's false, and also, some of the allegations I've seen, which is that we've had NDAs in the office. There's never been an allegation, and there's never been a settlement. And I will also just take stock that look, we're 27 days before an election starts.
Did he ask you to send him lewd photos?
Yes.
And did he ever send lewd photos?
Yes. He would send short Snapchat videos of him rubbing his penis through his pants while on the airplane.
The staffer says she liked Swalwell's attention at first and nervously went along with it, which included sending back nude photos of herself. But in September 2019, she says she and some friends met up with Swalwell. After a night of heavy drinking, she says she woke up naked with Swalwell in a hotel room with no memory of what happened.
The 5 of us
They
were
do.
having some drinks.
They do, not a kitty.
Home. I got in an Uber. I was taken to the Aloft Dublin Pleasanton where he was staying. And I don't remember what happened that night. But I know that there was sexual contact. Because when I woke up in the morning, I could feel that there was. And
where are you guys seeing this? How am I not? Oh, here it is. This one. That's a mistake. This guy is he's a Republican. He just typoed that. The R here.
What did he say?
That last night was great. It didn't feel great to me because I didn't remember it.
And so you blacked out and you end up in his hotel room.
Oh, we're getting there.
With him.
We're getting there.
She says another.
Please make sure you like, share, and subscribe day by day. Well, you must be subscribed if you're talking in the chat here. But yeah, we're getting there.
Another incident occurred in 2024 after this event in New York, where Swalwell gave a speech.
Some of us are working hard on Capitol Hill.
At the time, she no longer worked for Swalwell's office.
I decided to ask him to meet me for a drink. And I did this because I was so far removed from what had happened in 2019. I felt safe because I was established. I had a partner. I felt more secure that I could have a strictly professional relationship with this person. After that bar closed, we went to another. I went to the bathroom and I don't remember anything after that.
You don't remember anything?
You heard this
I
part
remember-
earlier.
Did you say no?
Yes, I said no. In my flash that I can recall, I was pushing him off of me saying no.
And what did he do?
He didn't stop.
He didn't stop. And you woke up the next morning.
I woke up the next morning naked, alone in his hotel room. I, for a moment, didn't even know I was in his hotel room. That's how intoxicated I was. And I called my mom, the only person I could think that could help me.
Her mother confirmed her account in an interview with CNN.
Okay.
CNN also reviewed screenshots of texts she sent to a friend saying she was, quote, sexually assaulted by Eric. She also shared this note from a physician's assistant calling her a, quote, survivor after she went to get tested for STDs 1 week later. Why do you feel like it's so important to speak out now?
When I found out there were others who might have been impacted by Eric in different ways, I realized I couldn't be scared anymore because that is how he keeps us quiet. The fear, the shame.
In addition to this former staffer, 3 other women who spoke with CNN also alleged sexual misconduct by Swalwell. One said he kissed her and touched her without her consent. 2 of the women said he sent them unsolicited explicit messages or nude images of himself, something the others say Swalwell did with them as well. One shared this message where he commented on her photo and wrote, quote, that swimsuit, with an expletive. You like it? She responded. Yes, very much like, he wrote. In a statement to CNN, Swalwell said, quote, these allegations are false and come on the eve of an election against the frontrunner for governor. For nearly 20 years, I have served the public as a prosecutor and...
Yeah, okay, we heard him say this. All right. Let's move on with Swalwell here. Here's Eric Swalwell. Here's Stephen Miller weighing in on it.
Anything about Swalwell? I don't know if he said anything. Has he been following that?
This is asking what Trump thought about Swalwell.
Why, has he had a bad week, Jesse? I haven't been watching.
He might be busy with bigger matters of war and peace.
Couldn't have happened to a better person. But look, here's the most important thing if we have 10 seconds on this, and I'm sure you would agree with this. The most important part about this story, and look, Swalwell is a scumbag. He is a terrible person, the worst of the worst, the lowest of the low, the most dishonest and the most dishonest. But the real story here is how the Democrat Party controls its members through blackmail. It's got a blackmail file on all of its politicians, and it uses them to leverage and control them until it's time to release it. That is how sick and twisted the Democrat Party is. That's the next thread we've got to pull out here, Jesse.
All right, it's a dangerous business. We'll see how it shakes. While we have you here, has the president said?
Isn't that wild? It's what you all saying. It's what you all saying. It's what you all saying. Well, it's true. They have a file on everyone. Now he's fighting back. He's fighting back at 6 o'clock this evening Eastern time. We got this release. Just in, Eric Swalwell's attorney released a statement announcing they're considering suing those responsible for orchestrating this reprehensible campaign of lies. You live on a throne of lies, according to Eric Swalwell's attorneys. You're all a bunch of stinking lies. None of these videos are true. But there's more to this story. There's a lot more. There's a lot more coming. Here's Santos. George Santos was on with with Benny Johnson. And this is disturbing. You want to know how sick Congress is? You want to get a feel for just how intensely sickening Congress is? Because Eric Swalwell is hardly the only problem. Okay? And this is what we need to clean up from Congress. This is what we need to clean out.
Is this going to lead to a big Me Too? Is this going to be like a Harvey Weinstein Me Too, like Hollywood level? Like, is this going to take over Congress? Like, are we going to have like people coming out from all over the place?
You took the words out of my mouth. That's amazing. Please. This is the Me Too of Congress. This is the beginning of the end of the sexual predator behavior in Capitol Hill.
I hope George is right. I hope George is right.
This is going to be the Harvey Weinsteins of the Bill Cosbys that are going to bring down this generational behavior. Just remember one thing, Benny. You're a very intelligent guy. You've been around. You know this. Remember why the U.S. House of Representatives no longer has the Page program. Only the Senate retains it. Because of this behavior, because young children who would go from their schools to learn from our leaders were literally assaulted by members of Congress.
Young children, they had to shut down the program because of all the raping going on by Congress.
And these are 13, 14, 15-year-olds. That's why the U.S. House of Representatives no longer has the Page program.
They said we had to shut it down because we can't put our children at risk around members of the House. That's how. You want to know why we don't have anything on Epstein? Because we can't send 13-year-olds near these sick perverts in the House. They had to shut down the Page. If this should shock everything. They had to shut down a program where they're sending 13, 14, 15-year-old girls to Congress because they couldn't really ensure their safety from being sexually assaulted by members of Congress. What the hell is going on? I'm asking, what the hell is going on? Hey, these people, there's nothing. Throw them in the wood chip. This is sickening. This is astonishing. It's very hard to shock me. But it's so prevalent. It's so prevalent that they had to shut down the program. What are we going to do? No, we don't expose these people. Why not?
So understanding this is so vital for people to understand why this is a very important moment in time for our youth, for future leaders and generations to come.
Wow. And more women are lawyering up right now against Swalwell. Unbelievable.
Yep.
Not just Swalwell. No, I want names. I want people named. I want to know who they had to shut down the program for. I want to hear about every incident that happened. Obviously, we don't need to know about the names of the victims. We want to have them scarred for life. I want to know about all the people who were touched by members of the House. I want to know who the touchers are. They should be shamed, drummed out of Congress, and frankly, sent to prison. Sickening. What the hell? Sickening. It's really astonishing. And that they all get protected. Here's Nancy Pelosi. They all protect them. It's one big circle jerk of protection.
Some Republicans and others are saying that Democrats turned kind of a blind eye, that they knew what he was up to or what the allegations
That is absolutely positive. And it's true that they may say that, but it is absolutely not true.
You had no idea.
None whatsoever.
You're so full of crap. Like there's anything that's happening in the House you don't know anything about. Just stop it. Just stop it.
None whatsoever.
You're that clueless.
I had none whatsoever.
What happens in California now? He was in many of the polls, the leading candidate.
Yes, he was.
That's gone. There's an army of candidates out there. And California has this quirky law, because it's ranked primaries, right? Where you could end up with 2 Republicans on the ballot.
Well, it is.
How does that?
I agree that it is a quirky law. I do not agree that there'll be 2 Republicans at the top.
Some Republicans and
Stupid false teeth. You're lying through your teeth. Lying through your false teeth. Telling falsity through her false teeth. And today there was a 5th woman who came out. Yesterday we knew there were 4. I think this one is the 5th woman.
My name is Lana Drews. In 2018, while I was living and working as a model in Beverly Hills, and I also owned a fashion software company, I had contact with Eric Swalwell on 3 separate occasions after meeting him socially. He offered me connections to further my software company, and I also had an interest in local politics. He invited me to 2 public events. I knew he was married at the time and that his wife was pregnant. He was my friend. On the 3rd occasion, I believe he drugged my drink. I only had 1 glass of wine. We were supposed to go to a political event, and he said he needed to get paperwork from his hotel room. When I arrived at his hotel room, I was already incapacitated, and I couldn't move my arms or my body. He raped me, and he choked me. And while he was choking me, I lost consciousness. And I thought I died. I did not consent to any sexual activity. Although I did not undergo a rape kit at the time, I disclosed the assault to the people closest to me. I also recorded these events in my handwritten calendar. The assault and its impact were later documented during my therapy sessions at a sexual assault center in Connecticut. It had a profound impact on my mental health. I self-medicated in an unhealthy way.
Drugs.
I did not want to live anymore. I cried all the time for years. At the time, I was in a dating relationship with a boyfriend I was fully committed to. I've never cheated in my life, and I would never have engaged in a consensual sexual encounter with Eric Swalwell. That reality further underscores the non-consensual nature of what occurred. It was a politically unusual and intense time in Beverly Hills, and I was considering a run for city council, which placed me in proximity to political figures and events and added to the pressure to remain composed and silent. Eric was aware I owned a software company, and he spoke repeatedly about his ability to make introductions in Silicon Valley, referencing his political representation and influence there. I was not interested in him romantically, but I was interested in the business relationship and professional connections he offered to provide. My delay in taking action against Eric was driven by fear, not doubt. Fear of his political power, his background as an attorney, and his family law enforcement ties. I have never doubted what happened. I stand with the other women who have come forward, and I will be making a report to law enforcement shortly with my attorneys.
So there you go. I'm curious about the statute of limitations here. Grok, what's the statute of limitations for rape in California?
For rape under California Penal Code 261, there is no statute of limitations for most felony cases committed on or after January 1, 2017. Prosecutors can file charges at any time, thanks to Penal Code 799B. For older cases, before 2017, it was generally 10 years for adult victims.
So there you go. Go get them. This woman is describing a rape in 2018, California. So go get him. I think he's going to be defending himself. I think he's going to be indicted. And let's have a jury decide for themselves after weighing all the evidence. Go get him. Right here. No statute of limitations. Go after him criminally. Go after him civilly. I think Eric Swalwell's life is, I think the hell that his life is about to face is only just begun. I think there's a lot more terrible things that is coming to this very terrible person. And we should be pleased with that. Because when justice is properly meted out, that's cause for celebration. It's unfortunate that it's necessary, but that's life. Life makes it necessary. So I'm fairly confident he's going to be facing criminal charges, perhaps federal and state. Because like I said, he doesn't have the protection. Everyone is bolting from this guy. They're all jumping ship on him. I mean, their donors are really pissed off. This is billionaire former Democrat donor Stephen Klubeck, who gave over $1 million to Eric Swalwell's campaign. And he's done with the Democrats.
First say you're mad. I mean,
mad?
Yeah.
I am no longer a Democrat. I'm now a libertarian Republican, because that's what a blue dog Democrat used to be. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
It's called executing, being accountable, enforcing, respect, responsibility, and results. Knowing what your job description is, delivering results. Unifying, making this country great. The great brand we have. Okay.
Make the country great. Nice.
Okay.
First say you're.
What took you so long? You're a freaking billionaire. Where the heck were you? Where were you? Phil Coggins saying, I hope there are two Republicans on the top because they probably changed the law and have primaries before the election. This is true. This is true. You know that anytime the rules don't work for them, they change the rules. New member, not the first time I've seen this guy, but it's been a minute. It's been a minute since I've seen you, Exile, the Knights of Malta now. Welcome back. I'm going to give you the horn for that. Welcome back, brother. We missed having you around. We missed having you. Welcome back. What? A Dem getting caught doing what they say someone else is doing? Yeah, believe it or not. Believe it or not. Believe it or not. And you talked about Nancy Pelosi and her chasing him out. You know, she was saying that she didn't. Excuse me. She was saying we didn't know anything. We didn't know anything. Whatever stupidity she was trying to get out of her face But apparently she's the one who got rid of him.
In the case of Eric Swalwell, the former speaker and fellow Californian Nancy Pelosi, I am told, picked up the phone and called Swalwell on Friday night and said, you got to drop out of the governor's race, because remember, he was a leading candidate, and also made clear that he should resign from Congress. She was at GW with our old friend and colleague Frank Sesno yesterday, and he asked about the situation.
If you have a challenge that you have to address, it's best addressed not as a candidate for governor and not as a member of Congress.
Some Republicans and others are saying that Democrats turned kind of a blind eye, that they knew.
No, that's not true. That is absolutely positive.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, a billionaire ain't believing you no more. But yeah, I think that this is certainly about Michael makes a pretty strong point about how this has always been about getting him out of the governor's race. That's what this is all about. And he makes a pretty powerful argument here.
This is the key. The way you know that the Democrats aren't actually turning on Swalwell because of the weird sex stuff that they've all known about for a long time is because this isn't even the first way they tried to get him out of the race. When things were looking bad for the Democrats in California, the first shot that they took at him was they pointed out that he probably is not even legally eligible to run because he's supposed to have residency in California per the state constitution. He's not really a resident of California. He's a resident of Washington, D.C. He moved his family out there. I actually think it's good when congressmen move their families to D.C. so they spend more time with them. Obviously, it didn't work very well for Swalwell, but I'm not even knocking him for that. It's just that he's not eligible to run. So they took that shot, didn't work out. Then the next one they fired at him was they said, okay, well, Swalwell looks like he was paying his wife out of campaign funds, which whether or not it's legal is obviously corrupt. And so they tried to take him out that way. He didn't listen to the first two warning shots. So now they said, okay, well, we have this avalanche of staffers and other women, maybe prostitutes that you've been sleeping with until yesterday, and so we're going to drop all of that on you. He comes out with this non-apology apology, says, I'm dropping out of the race. I'm sorry for everything that I didn't do. The reason they're doing this is because the Democrats are always willing to throw their own under the bus when it doesn't affect their power. That's the key. The Democrats are going to come out and say, see, we police our own. We're so much better than the Republicans. Not true at all.
Yep, he nails it. And it's a great point. 3 different ways they went to try and get him out of the race. They really wanted him out of that race. So he made some enemies. That's for sure. But apparently he's not the only one who's in trouble here. Apparently this trouble is spilling over to Ruben Gallego. So Ruben Gallego said these accusations in light of Swallwell's predatory behavior are lies. But just days ago, he was attacking the female victims for telling the truth. Looks like he's trying to save his campaign. Yeah, we're gonna see a lot of him trying to save his career, because his career is in trouble. His career is in trouble. Here's Jonathan Turley calling out Gallego and Pelosi.
Well, the other thing is that these are people who believe they have a license to do this. And one of the things I asked in that column is, I wonder where he got that idea. The question is not whether he's a monster. I've been a critic of his for years, but we can debate that. But if he is, the question is, who's the creator? I mean, the fact is that it was Nancy Pelosi that intervened to protect him in the earlier Fang scandal and said I have no concerns about Eric Swalwell. She then prevented efforts to get him off the House Intelligence Committee, even though various people said, look, he's obviously ripe for blackmail.
He's someone who literally cannot put his penis away. It's really that simple. There's nothing more complicated about the story. He literally just cannot put his penis away.
Now you look back at these allegations, and there have been these allegations for years. It reaffirms what was said to Pelosi at that time, that he is an obvious potential target for the Chinese and other possible blackmail sources.
Because why they pick him? Because they knew he's someone who cannot put his penis away. It's that simple. Someone like that is easily blackmailed.
Speaking of Pelosi, this is what she said in a statement to NBC. She said, quote, "The young woman who has made serious allegations against Congressman Swalwell must be respected and heard. This extremely sensitive matter must be appropriately investigated with full transparency and accountability. As I discussed with Congressman Swalwell, it is clear that this is best done outside of a gubernatorial campaign." She was the one who got Biden to drop out. Now she's got Swalwell to drop out.
But she doesn't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on.
No, as you remember, John, the famous saying from Harry Truman, if you want a friend in Washington, get a dog. Swalwell couldn't find a willing canine outside of a taxidermy office this week. I mean, he has no friends in this town. Even people that traveled with him and called him friends have walked away from him. It's a colossal thing to watch. Keep in mind that this isn't the end of it. We have to see what happens with this criminal investigation.
Yeah.
His expulsion seems likely at this point, but he also may not have his law degree to fall back on. If these things are proven, he denies them, but if they are proven, he would likely be disbarred as well.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about people who traveled with him, who defended him. One of those people was Congressman Ruben Gallego. They went on a state-sponsored trip to Qatar. Here's some pictures of all. I don't know why.
Ruben. By the way, I only realized today, I was today years old when I realized that Ruben Gallego he's like a manlet. He's like 5'7", 5'6". He's a little man. Ruben Gallego. He's a little dude. He looks like that guy from from The Office. You remember? He looks less like him now, but he did when he was younger. He looked more like him when he was younger. I don't remember the actor's name. We're gonna ask Grok. Grok, what was the name of the actor from The Office who was this short guy who was friends with Ryan and hanging out with him in New York, dark skin, facial hair?
That's Troy Underbridge, played by Noel Pettock. He's the short banking guy who hangs with Ryan in New York, partying and enabling.
Noel Pettock. Now I gotta find him. These pictures doesn't really look as much like him. This dude. That's such a great shot. It just they're bros to the end. Bros to the end.
They feel they had to take off their shirts either to have a photo taken on a camel. Gallego defending Swalwell on April the 7th when the early reports came out saying when you're in first place is when they target you. Eric is a fighter and he will win the governor's race. But after that Chronicle article came out, whoa, Gallego changed his tune. I've read the San Francisco Chronicle's reporting and I take it seriously. What is described is indefensible. Women who come forward with accounts like this deserve to be heard and with respect. Kind of sounds like Pelosi. Not questioned or dismissed. I regret having come to his defense on social media prior to knowing all the information. I am equally as shocked and upset about what has transpired. But as that reporter for the East Bay Chronicle said, it's been out there since 2013 that this guy does this stuff.
Shocked.
Well, Gallego didn't only endorse him; he traveled with him. He partied with him, according to some sources.
He cameled with him.
Suddenly, the city has become. Yeah, and this whole city's become like a convention of Claude Rains. Everyone is shocked, as if this was something new.
Yeah, shocked, just utterly astonished. What's happening here? What is happening? A very panicked Ruben Gallego, whose beard is now noticeably lighter after viral speculation that he's one of the men in Eric Swalwell's prostitute video, claims he has no knowledge of Eric's actions. Quote, he led a double life. We had no clue. He tricked me. Look how much lighter his beard is now. He tricked many of us into thinking he was something he wasn't. He's trying to go with the Good Lawgic look over here. You see that? He's stealing from me. He's stealing my look.
Saying that a lot of people spent time with this man, and it seems impossible that they didn't have some sense of what was going on. I think there are a lot of people saying a lot of you spend a lot of time with him, and there's really a lot of sense that something's going on. I mean, again, the man led a double life, and for many, more than 20 congressmen, people have served them for a long time. We had no clue.
Let's see if I can get this a little bit louder. Let's see if we can get this a little bit louder, because I need to boost this up. Boost it.
There are a lot of people saying a lot of you spend a lot of time with him. More than 20 congressmen, people have served them for a long time. We had no clue. We had no clue. And look, unlike whatever was happening with Jeffrey Epstein, because like as soon as we knew, we all asked for accountability, and we'll continue to ask for accountability. And victims deserve justice. But he literally led a double life and tricked many of us into thinking he was something he was not.
Do you have a sense of what?
All right. Sorry, I didn't realize the audio was that bad. That's pretty bad audio. Bad audio is unacceptable. And now that we're into Ruben Gallego, we got more from George Santos.
Ruben Gallego. I don't even know if I'm saying that right.
It's Gallego.
You say you're telling the senator from Arizona, yo, you were like roommates with Eric Swalwell. What do you mean you didn't know about him? What do you mean he was living a double life? A lot of speculation because
it's not possible that he doesn't know. It's not possible.
There are photos of them shirtless together in the desert. There's photos of them at parties. There's photos. They were besties. Birds of a feather kind of thing. There's a lot of online sleuths that are saying, well, George Santos has the receipts. George, you got the receipts on this one?
Ruben Gallego was my neighbor when I was in Congress. Our offices were next door to each other on the Longworth House office building. And I can say this, revolving door is what his office was after hours. Second of all, Ruben Gallego and Eric Swalwell have this bromance situation going on in public. If you follow Caroline Wren's X page, it is probably the most entertaining thing because she is unearthing such pearls of absolute joy between the two of them that, I mean, and hey, I'm a gay man, and for me to say that that was probably some of the most gayest things I've ever seen between two men.
Yeah, dude, like you're riding a camel, in like jogging shorts in the middle of the desert. Like,
and one was in tiny little Speedos. Let's not forget, Gallego's wearing Speedos. And second of all, yes, there are receipts that will be coming out soon. I'm just making sure that I protect myself legally before I put stuff out there. You know how the drill goes.
I do. So just really quickly, George, and I know you have to go. But what do you mean? I have to ask you a follow up. You said his office was a revolving door. Gallego's office was a revolving door, and that you were very close. You were close with both of them in proximity. What do you mean by that?
My office was literally next door to Ruben Gallego's. It's separated by 5 feet, right? We shared a wall, right? I have a habit of working late. I mean, as in when I was in Congress, it's no secret, I was obviously under indictment. So after we voted and after everything was over, everybody would go home, my entire staff. And in rare occasions, I'd have one staffer with me, probably Vish Burra, who would hang out as I'm going through now Discovery. And it's like 11 o'clock at night. And I'm reading Discovery paperwork to see what's going on in my case. And, on more than one occasion, I either bumped in with the congressman at the time coming in or out of his office, and always accompanied by different young women. So, this is a pattern. It's a behavioral pattern.
That's why they're hanging out together.
And Eric Swalwell embraced in DC because they're arrogant and they thought they were above it all.
And they probably didn't get women when they were younger. They're getting women now that they're in power. That's what this is about. So it's like, this is like new terrain for them.
They were just going to never get caught. Now, look, where there's smoke, there's fire. Please keep the pressure on Gallego. If he wants to be transparent about this, release every shred of text, email, phone call, Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter DMs with him and Swalwell, and come clean. Tell us what you know.
And on this, we have this post. So I asked Grok. If the ears and sideburns match, and this is what I got. Second guy in the Swalwell photo and Ruben Gallego. Second guy in the Swalwell photo and Ruben Gallego. It's the same guy. Yes, the ears and sideburns match. It's the same person in both images. Here's why it's clearly lined up. Ear shape and position. The ears identical in both photos. Same size, same prominent anti-helix fold, same earlobe shape, same exact angle tilt relative to the head. Sideburns and hairline. The sideburn density, length, and how they blend into the beard and hair at the temple are consistent. The hair texture and color gradient, darker on top, lighter near the neck, also match. Neck and skin tone, the skin texture, neck, hair stubble, and overall coloring are the same. Angle and length, both taken from very similar side rear profile angle. First image is sharper and closer, but yeah, wow. But all the visible anatomical features align perfectly. No discrepancies in proportions or details that would suggest different people. It's the same guy. So, yeah, that's what we thought yesterday. I was like, it looks like him to me. It looks like Ruben Gallego. Here's a little manlet himself going after Mike Johnson as a quote unquote pedo protector. Schmuck.
Okay, first of all, you pedo protector, Speaker Johnson, it's Gallego, not Gallegos or Gallegos. It's Gallego. Fact is, you're a pedophile protector. You're protecting the pedophiles on the Epstein list. There's just no denying that. And, your idea that somehow us trying to make sure that 24 million Americans do not have their insurance rates premiums doubled is stopping you from doing your job is just pathetic bullshit. Again, Gallego, learn it. Okay.
No, we're going to learn it. We're going to learn it. We're going to learn it. The world is going to know Ruben Gallego. It's coming. And he's next in line. I think he knows it's coming also. That's why he's so quickly to he's so quick to thoroughly disassociate. Is it disassociate or I think it's just dissociate. It's not disassociate. It's just dissociate. Dissociate. No, it's definitely dissociate. It's not, there's no A in there. November 2025, Swallwell. Ruben is my best friend. November 2025, Gallego. We each have 3 kids and we're trying to be good fathers. April 2026. I have no idea what Eric was doing.
My best friend, and he and I have been in many...
How's the field this evening?
Great. And Ruben's my best friend, and he and I have been in many fights together, and I wanted to just show off to our constituents that although he is...
Look how little Gallego is. Like, he's shorter than the woman. He's shorter than the little woman.
In another state, they have an ally in him on all the issues they care about, on affordability, standing up for our immigrant community, making sure we have a strong national defense. He's a service member. He not only talks it, he lives it. And so just want to introduce Ruben to my constituents if they don't already know him, because he is not just the present, he's the future for our party.
He's the future of the Democratic Party.
That's wonderful. What's the best thing you like about Eric?
Well, look, Eric is a fighter like me, kind of grew up in the same situation. We didn't have life handed to us.
No, I'm sure you were not very popular as a kid.
We understand that we have to fight every day to make sure that everyday Americans have a chance to succeed, have a chance to American dream, and that we're here to fight for them. We have, each have 3 kids. We're trying to be good fathers. We want to make sure that they all have a good future.
How's the feel this evening?
Great. And
Eric who? Eric who? I don't know who that man is. I don't know who he is. What are you talking about? Here's his official statement. I don't know if it's his official statement, but this is the statement everyone's sharing of Gallego.
I call this today because there's just a lot of rumors going around about me, about my family. And
notice how he's changing his facial hair completely now? He's like, let me grow in a much thicker thing. I used to have this taper thing. I'm going to grow in this thing now. I used to have this tapered thing, but that looks a lot like the guy. That looks a lot like the guy in those videos. We're going to be growing that in now.
Unfortunately, this is not the first time. I did deal with the same BS in 2024 and 2023 when they ran millions and millions of dollars of smears against me, lied about my family, and it's the same damn people again. Carrie Lake, Chris LaCivita, bunch of political operatives. They couldn't do in 2024, trying to do again in 2026. So I want to make a couple of things very clear. Number one, Eric Swalwell lied to all of us. He lied to the most powerful people in this country. And they trusted him. They trusted him with some of the most sensitive spots in our government.
I'm shocked. Shocked, I say.
Was on Judiciary Committee, Intel Committee, impeaching Donald Trump. And that clouded my judgment. My friendship with him, our family's friendship together with him, clouded my judgment. And I was wrong. I deeply, deeply regret that. The women that came forward are courageous, and they still deserve justice.
Yeah, a week ago he was saying just ignore all those women.
But to be clear again, I also had no knowledge of predatory behavior.
No, you had no knowledge that the Democratic Party was going to call him out on the predatory behavior. That's what happened. You had no knowledge he was going to be called out on it. You had every knowledge of his predatory behavior. You're so full of crap. You're lying, stinking son of a gun.
Sexual assault or harassment.
No idea.
And unfortunately right now, the same people that are attacking me in 2024 are using this horrible situation that's been thrown upon these women, thrown upon Eric Swalwell's family, and using this as an excuse to attack me, lie about me, and lie about my family. And I will not.
No one's lying about your family. We're just talking about you and your scum.
Take that lightly. So
I'm not going to take that lightly. I'm not going to take that lightly. You're not going to have me to kick around soon. He's totally going down. He is totally going down. He called out Carrie Lakes. Let's see her response. Carrie Lake saying, who had run up against Gallego. I find it very hard to believe that Ruben Gallego didn't know his best friend's history with women. After all, Ruben has quite a history himself. I laid it out for the world to see when I ran against the cartel creature in 2024. Ruben Gallego bullied and terrorized a 20-year-old woman, is what he said in 2024, who worked for the Phoenix City Council. When she complained, he got her fired. He told a Hispanic Republican that she wasn't a real Latina because she was conservative. Worst of all, Gallego abandoned his first wife when she was about 9 months pregnant to shack up with a DC lobbyist. Arizonans need to know how Gallego treats women.
I'm about to lay out some hard truths about my opponent, Ruben Gallego. And I'm not telling you this to be mean. I'm really not. I'm telling you this because the people have got to know before they vote who this guy is. His ads leave out a whole lot of despicable treatment of women. His ads don't tell you that about the time that he harassed and threatened a 20-year-old female intern. And when she complained about it, she was fired. His ads don't tell you about
He knew.
the fact that his fellow Democrats down at the state legislature gave him the nickname the Troll because of how creepy and degrading he was with women.
He knew about Swallwell.
And his ads don't tell you about the time he told a Latina woman that because she was a Republican, she wasn't a real Latina.
Ooh.
Can I hear it for our incredible conservative Latina women?
Anyway, so I'll tell you right now, I think Gallego's a creep. I think he's a loser. And that's why I opened the show up. I opened tonight's show up in case you joined late. I know a few of you might not have been here. But I opened up with this little clip.
Eric Swalwell lied to all of us. He lied to the most powerful people in this country. And they trusted him. They trusted him with some of the most sensitive spots in our government, whether it was on Judiciary Committee, Intel Committee, impeaching Donald Trump. And that clouded my judgment, my friendship with him, our family's friendship together with him clouded my judgment. And I was wrong. I deeply, deeply regret that.
So that's why I opened with that little clip. In case you don't normally catch the beginning of my show, you should be aware I usually try to find something that's both funny and timely. I don't always land it on the timely, but I usually do land it on the funny. You usually laugh. So don't come late. You're gonna miss some. You're gonna miss something. I'm actually thinking about changing that. I was like, they say you need to capture people's attention the first 20 seconds. And I wonder if I alienate some new folks by starting with some sort of funny clip at the beginning. I'm not sure. I'm torn about it. We might do some experimenting. The one person who's not experimenting, no, that transition's not working. It's time for us to move on. It's time for us to move on and get into the war between the Pope and Donald Trump. The war between the Pope and Donald Trump.
I would simply say, once again, what I said in the Urbi et Orbi message on Sunday, asking all people of goodwill to search always for peace and not violence.
This is Pope Leo a week ago called out. This was happening around the time that I was shutting down for the holidays. I didn't get a chance to cover this. The story is only getting louder and louder. So it's time for me to start addressing this.
To reject war, especially a war which many people have said is an unjust war, which is continuing to escalate and which is not resolving anything. In fact, we have a worldwide economic crisis, energy crisis, situation in the Middle East of great instability, which is only provoking more hatred throughout the world. So come back to the table, let's talk, let's look for solutions in a peaceful way. And let's remember especially the innocent, children, the elderly, sick, so many people who have already become or will become victims of this continued warfare. To remind all that attacks on civilian infrastructure is against international law, but that it is also a sign of the hatred, the division, the destruction that the human being is capable of. And we all want to work for peace. People want peace. I would invite the citizens of all the countries involved to contact the authorities, political leaders, congressmen, to ask them, tell them to work for peace and to reject war always. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So, Pope Leo XIV renewed, let's make this a little bigger so y'all can see it, not just me. The appeal for peace in a brief statement on Tuesday evening to a group of journalists waiting from outside Via Barberini, the papal residence in Castel Gandolfo. Against the backdrop of a U.S.-Israeli war against Iran, and the U.S. president's threat to destroy the whole Iranian civilization on Tuesday night if Tehran does not comply with a deadline set by the White House to reach a deal to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, the Pope said he wished simply to say once again what he said in his Urbi et Orbi message on Sunday, asking all people of goodwill to always search for peace and not violence, to reject war. Especially a war which many people say is unjust, which is continuing to escalate, which is not resolving anything. That's crap. That's just factually wrong. Speaking in Italian, he said, today, as we all know, there has always been this threat against the entire people of Iran, and this is truly unacceptable. There are certainly issues of international law here, but even more, it's a moral question concerning the good of the people as a whole in its entirety. These statements did not sit well with President Trump. President Trump responded in a post on Truth Social where he was, some would say, too aggressive with the Pope. I leave that to you to decide. This is what he wrote. Pope Leo. Yep, Pope Leo's weak. Very weak, man. Terrible for foreign policy. He talks about fear of the Trump administration, but doesn't mention the fear that the Catholic Church and other Christian organizations had during COVID when they were arresting priests, ministers, and everybody else for holding church services, even when going outside and being 10 and even 20 feet apart. I like his brother Louis much better than I like him because Louis is all MAGA. He gets it. Leo doesn't. I don't want a pope who thinks it's okay for Iran to have a nuclear weapon. I like how Trump is like weighing in on who should be the pope. We should have gotten his brother. Got the wrong brother here. I don't want a pope who thinks it's terrible America attacked Venezuela, a country that was sending massive amounts of drugs into the United States, and even worse, emptying their prisons, including murderers, drug dealers, and killers into our country. I don't want a pope who criticizes the president of the United States because I'm doing exactly what I was elected in a landslide to do, setting record low numbers in crime, creating the greatest stock market in history. Leo should be thankful because, as everyone knows, he was a shocking surprise. He wasn't on any list to be pope, and he was only put there by the church because he was an American, and they thought that would be the best way to deal with President Donald J. Trump. If I wasn't in the White House, I made him pope. I made him the pope. How do you not love Trump? Oh my God. How can anyone not love him? Not for me, you're not pope. Okay, it's just facts. Not for me, you're not pope. If I wasn't in the White House, Leo wouldn't be in the Vatican. Unfortunately, Leo's weak on crime, weak on nuclear weapons, does not sit well with me, nor does the fact that he meets with Obama sympathizers like David Axelrod, a loser from the left, who's one of those who wanted churchgoers and clerics to be arrested. Leo should get his act together as Pope, use common sense, stop catering to the radical left, focus on being a great Pope, make the papacy great again, not a politician. It's hurting him very badly. And more importantly, it's hurting the Catholic Church, President Donald J. Trump. So a lot of people got mad at Donald Trump. I actually think he could have been harsher. Could have been harsher. Yeah. So that was his response. But that's not where the responses ended. There was more. Where he pushed the envelope a little further, and I think he realized that he pushed it too far. I think he realized he pushed it too far, as we're about to see. Yo, Joe, been missing. Double bypass. Kick my ass. Oh my gosh. This last Greek Easter, I lived. Well, I'm glad for that, Sean. I just heard so much right now. Well, I'm glad to hear you're on the mend. God bless you. And I hope you have a complete and rapid recovery. And we missed having you around. So welcome back. And no excuses are necessary. People miss time for all sorts of reasons, and obviously health, that's okay, health first. So thanks to God for your recovery, and I hope you continue on the mend. And thank you. Jade Schwalbeck sent a $20 tip. Oh, let's hit the horn for that. Joe. AI overview. A producer manages the business, financial, and logistical aspects of creative projects, film, music, theater, overseeing development from conception to release. I think Jim or Sin would really help. It would really be nice to know your schedule. I believe it would help grow the show because I love you. No homo. Yeah, that's probably true. That's probably true. If you're wondering why I started so late this evening, if you want to know. So I'm getting back on into my regular schedule because I came back from Virginia, and my children, who go to school all around the world, were flittering back to their schools. So today, for example, my son, this is my second son, my fourth child, second son, went to Israel to study Torah for a year. So I don't know if I'm going to see him for another year. I don't expect to see him unless I visit Israel. So, yeah, I basically drove him, his mother and I drove him to the airport, which was a very long drive. It really knocked me out. So I drove him to the airport this afternoon, and then I didn't get back here until like 7 o'clock or so. I was just tired. So, yeah, I spent like 5 hours in the car. It was very long. So, yeah. But now I'm expecting that tomorrow I should get back into my normal schedule and start streaming at 10 o'clock. Just to give you, and here he is back again. Joe, do the Jews have a pope? If they don't have one, can we elect Mel Brooks to be the spiritual leader? I don't think he would be a great choice. And no, we don't have a pope. We do not have a pope. Interesting thing with respect to leadership and throughout Jewish history. You know, Torah actually talks about the concept of appointing a king. And it's a very interesting thing. It's brought down in Deuteronomy, which basically frames it as, if you want a king, like, you don't need to have a king, because we serve the King of Kings. But if you want a king, if that happens, here are all the rules for what you should do with a king. And they set down all the rules for the king. You curious about the rules for a king? We haven't had a king. So the first king we had was King Saul, followed by David. Saul was from the tribe of Benjamin, then by David, and then by Solomon, and then there was a split. After Solomon, there was a split. And there were two different kingdoms. There was the kingdom of Israel and kingdom of David. But yeah, so politics was playing a pretty significant role in Jewish history going back like 2,800 years. But yeah, we don't have a pope. But the rules of a king, in case you're not up, if you're not down for reading Deuteronomy, but the rules for a Jewish king are, he's not supposed to have too many wives, which we cap it out at only 18. There's a whole question about Solomon, who had supposedly 1,000 wives. And he's supposed to write his own Torah that he carries around. He's also not supposed to have too many horses, I think. It's not really laws that come up on a day-to-day, because it's been several thousand years since there's been a Jewish king. And no, we don't have a papacy. We do have rabbinic authority, which basically there often is like, historically there's been like a leading rabbinic authority of the generation, who's like a spiritual leader. And the most recent one, and there was like almost like an understood and appreciated thing that, okay, he's the leader of the generation. He's the leader of the generation. And that really stopped with the passing probably of Moshe Feinstein in around 1985. And now it's really, we don't really have a unified leader. But, so no one who's quite as Shach for a while. I guess some people would, but I don't think he had the universal recognition that Rabbi Feinstein had. But there was like, basically you can go back to history. Like a century ago, Rabbi Kagan, who's known as the Chavetz Chaim, was indisputably the leading authority of the generation. Like no one would argue on that. Like any other rabbinic authority would be like, yeah, he's the man. Anyway, coming back to Trump and his battle. Now we sidetracked there. We'll probably come back to some talk about the Jews when I get to a clip that I have here from PBD. But yeah, so Trump responded with this aggressive post against Pope Leo that we went through. And then he took it a little bit too far, perhaps, when he posted this. Trump deletes post with AI image of himself as Jesus-like figure after outcry. You think he went too far? Did he go too far? I don't know. Let's go a little far. U.S. President's conservative Christian supporters decried the Truth Social post, calling it disgusting. Less than a year after signing legislation that will pull nearly 12 million Americans off health insurance. How the hell this is relevant, Joseph Gideon, you suck, idiot. By gutting Medicaid, Donald Trump posted an AI-generated image of himself to Truth Social and signing depicting him as a Jesus-like figure with divine light emanating from his hands as he heals a stricken man. That's a real stretch there, Gideon. I mean, Gideon, you're a Gideon. In a hospital bed with a demon from hell floating in the background. There is a demon from hell in the background. I don't see that here. President has since deleted the post, which also followed a lengthy tirade about Pope Leo XIV on the site on the same day, in which he called him weak on crime and blamed the head of the Catholic Church for being influenced by Barack Obama strategist David Axelrod. More on that coming up for you. Trump refused to apologize to the Pope, saying he went public. I'm just responding to Pope Leo. Trump faced the wrath of some of his most high-profile and loyal Christian supporters, many of whom have stood by the president through multiple other indiscretions and were unable to contain their righteous fury. Riley Gaines, Fox News podcast host and conservative commentator, wrote on X, she cannot understand why he'd post this. She continued, is he looking for a response? Does he actually think this? Either way, two things are true. A little humility would serve him well. God shall not be mocked. Megan Basham, a writer in the conservative Daily Wire, called the post outrageous blasphemy. I don't know if the president thought he was being funny, or he's under the influence of some substance, or what possible explanation you could have for this, she wrote. She demanded he take it down immediately and ask for forgiveness from the American people and then from God. Isabel Brown, a host on the same outlet, said the image was disgusting and unacceptable. Nothing matters more than Jesus, she wrote. This post is frankly disgusting and unacceptable. So he faced some backlash. He did take it down. I am curious whether you think this is blasphemous. I don't know. Is this like is there an image of Jesus in a similar vein? Is there? I'm unfamiliar with that, but I'm certainly no expert in that. I am going to ask. What's powerful? I'm going to put a post. I'm going to put a poll up asking you: do you think the picture is blasphemous? Do you think Trump's image was blasphemous? Yes, and foolish to post. I'll just go yes or no. I'll do it that way. Let's go yes or no. Blasphemous or not? That's the question. That is the question. More pushback on Trump. Catholics from the progressive side to the traditional side were appalled by the president's attacks on Pope because they were very personal, very mean-spirited, and also, as I said, unhinged, says James Martin, S.J., Jesuit priest and editor-at-large of America Mag.
And also, as I said, Catholics from the progressive side to the traditional side were appalled by the president's attacks on the Pope because they were so mean-spirited, so personal, so outrageous, that it is really, kind of an attack on the church, because the Pope is the visible representative of the church. And I think people feel Catholics feel that they are being attacked as well. So really very personal, very mean-spirited, and also, as I said, unhinged. Catholics from the progressive.
That's a very harsh assessment. It's not like Trump started this little battle. Pope Leo waded on in here into an area that he didn't have to weigh in. Could have just stayed out of it. Could have chosen to stay out of it. And then he had several cardinals appear on 60 Minutes speaking out against the war. So you can understand why he's not too fond of the way the Pope is conducting himself. He looks at it as he's trying to help make the world a safer place, and the Pope is calling him out that he's not trying to pacify a bunch of lunatics who are trying to get a nuclear weapon. It's like, why are you weighing in here? And perhaps it is because he met with Democrat operatives, which, if that's the case, that's shameful.
100% political, okay? This is all about trying to hurt President Trump's Catholic vote during the midterms and Republicans during the midterms. If you look at what play out the dots here, David Axelrod goes and visits.
Oh my
the
God,
Pope
the
last
arrogance
week.
of this.
Are
There's
you
a
not going to let me
billion
finish?
Catholics
Let
in
me
the world.
finish,
They're
please.
all worried
Let me
about Trump's
finish.
election.
This woman is a lunatic. She goes by Poly Girl, and she's a weirdo.
In the midterms?
Clearly,
All
I'm
right,
striking a chord here.
Let's let him finish the thought.
David Axelrod goes and visits Pope Leo last week. They're talking about Obama going to visit Pope Leo. Pope Leo's from Chicago. All of a sudden, now Pope Leo is out attacking Trump and the policies of the United States and Israel. In a way, well, in a much more forceful way. You have 3 cardinals come out today attacking the immigration policy. This is all about trying to get the Catholic vote against Trump. And let me add one more thing.
There's a lot of flaws in this
They're
argument.
going to succeed. No, there's no
They're
flaws.
gonna succeed.
There's no flaws.
Including that.
I don't think they're going to succeed.
None of the things that you're
Axelrod is the
describing
chief
as
strategist for Obama.
He's also from
Chicago,
but
the
that's not
Pope
why
is
he
saying
wins.
he's not political. Why is he meeting with the chief strategist for both Obama's campaigns and in the White House?
The Pope
Yeah,
really?
why?
Would he have a possible reason?
Why?
But hold on a
J.D.
second.
Vance met with the Pope before the last one died. What was he
Pope
doing
Francis met with J.D. Vance. Pope Francis was extremely critical.
J.D. Vance.
JD Vance is a heartbeat away from being the most powerful person on earth. What the hell is David Axelrod? How do you compare JD Vance, David Axelrod? What is the point to meeting with David Axelrod? It's like such a stupid. The fact that she can make a comparison between JD Vance and Axelrod is astonishing. Astonishing. It's such a bad faith comparison. Who the hell is David Axelrod? I'll bet if I showed you a picture of 5 different dudes, I would bet 80% of you would get wrong which person is David Axelrod. You're comparing that dude to JD Vance, the vice president of the United States of America? No. But he's meeting with David Axelrod. Why? A bad faith argument.
Vice President of the United States.
Hold on a second. Pope Francis was extremely critical of Trump. He was extremely critical of the immigration rhetoric from Trump and his allies. He still met.
Let me add one more thing that Pope
Vance.
Leo's
So
not critical
what's
of.
the conspiracy?
Let me.
Are you stupid? Seriously, like, are you an airhead? Who the hell is David Axelrod that you're meeting with him?
Ask you this:
What's
why
the
has Pope Leo been when Iran killed 30,000 plus of their own citizens? He didn't call out the Iranian regime at all. He said we need to stop violence. that was very milquetoast, that wasn't calling out the Iranian regime, and yet he's calling out the United States and Israel.
Let me let
War
Fosbeck
is
respond
never the
to that.
solution. Jesus was
Really?
a peacemaker.
But he didn't
Blessed
call out the
are
Iranian
the
regime.
peace-
Yeah, okay. I have this other post that I need to ask you about because I don't know what's happening here. I don't know what Liz Churchill is talking about, and I was curious and too lazy to ask Grok. So I'm asking you because she seems to think that this is a big deal. So you tell me. She asked, what on earth is going on? Pope Leo XIV just signed the Golden Book inside Algeria's Great Mosque, openly forging the Vatican-Islam super alliance Pope Francis started. Muslims will be the army of the revived Roman Empire Daniel warned about. What is this?
برمزيتها التاريخية وبأهميتها الكبيرة في عالم اليوم.
This is his way of showing up, of showing respect to Muslims. Is that what she's complaining about? I don't even know what the Golden Book is. It's probably got a Muslim thing. All right, I'm asking Grok. The Book of Honor during his April 13, 2026 visit to Algeria's Great Mosque of Algiers. Forging a Vatican-Islam alliance started under Pope Francis. Writing a message invoking mercy and peace for Algerians and humanity. Post references the book of Daniel's prophecy about a revived Roman Empire claiming Muslims will form its army, drawing strong reactions from U.S. users interpreting the event as end of times compromise or one world religion signals. All right. The Pope is bringing about all religions under one roof. Is he? Is that what you think? Is that what you interpret what he's doing here? Okay. That's never had repercussions. All right. J.D. Vance sharply responds to Pope Leo XIV. When the Pope says God is never on the side of those who wield the sword, there's more than 1,000-year tradition of just war theory in Christianity. Quote, no, let's just...
When the Pope says that God is never on the side of those who wield the sword, there is more than 1,000-year tradition of just war theory. Okay? Now, we can, of course, have disagreements about whether this or that conflict is just, but I think that it's important, in the same way that it's important for the Vice President of the United States to be careful when I talk about matters of public policy, I think it's very, very important for the Pope to be careful when he talks about matters of theology. And I think that one of these issues here is that there has been, again, hey, random dude screaming, I told you I'd respond to your point. I just want to respond to this question first. But I think one of the issues here is that if you're going to opine on matters of theology, you've got to be careful. You've got to make sure it's anchored in the truth. And that's one of the things that I try to do. And it's certainly something I would expect from the clergy, whether they're Catholic or Protestant. Now, to number one,
yeah. We have had just war theory going on for 1,000 years, but all of a sudden now, that just goes out the window. This is not a just war. Okay. There's no such thing as a just war. Hans One-Pack says, Jews were not supposed to have a king, but they complained until God let them have one. Could not just stay with judges. That's true. There was a certain point when they said they wanted a king, and they got King Saul. Santiago Space Outlaw says, Pelosi Bidened him, which is the only slightly better than being Gaddafi'd. I missed that earlier. Sorry for missing that from you. That's pretty good. It is better than being Gaddafi'd. Definitely. And now we come to this. Who has more power, Jews or Catholics? You know what the total Catholic population is worldwide? It's like 1.2, 1.3 billion. Jews are 15 million, but Jews are decentralized. All right. Someone was telling me that he's starting to turn on the Jews. So I happen to like Patrick Bet David. I'm hoping that that doesn't change.
I don't know why
I haven't seen this yet.
Catholics, have this issue with Jews. I don't know what it is. They have this. I don't listen. I get the.
I don't find that to be the case personally, but okay.
Jews have issues with Christians.
I don't get that to be the case either.
And they'll make fun and they'll say stuff like, "Oh, your Jesus is gonna do." They'll say, "Well, he was a Jew anyways, right?"
Yeah.
But then
That's making fun. Okay.
and Catholics have that issue with Jews. And they act like, they're all innocent and everything. And when you look at Catholics, the amount of centralized power they have. Centralized. If you know what the total Catholic population is worldwide? It's like 1.213 billion. Jews are 15 million.
15 million.
But Jews are decentralized, meaning Jews don't have somebody they listen to that says, "Hey, you better do this."
That's true.
Catholics, God forbid you say something about the Pope. They're like, "Hey, man, listen, who is that Pope figure in the Christian community? We don't have one."
No.
If I ask you right now who's the Pope in the Christian community, you don't have somebody to look at. Who is a witch pastor?
Yeah, exactly. No, they don't.
We don't have one.
It's an independent network.
It's just the Bible. So if you look at only Catholics and Muslims have somebody that they look at as their supreme leader, like you got to go to somebody. But even more, it's Catholic.
Well, there's
Not
only
even-
two theocracies in the world:
Catholicism.
Islam. I'm sorry, the Islamic Republic of Iran.
Yep.
And the Vatican.
Yeah.
Those are the two major
So
theocracies.
listen.
Big difference.
Yeah, okay.
Big
You pulled it.
difference.
I said 1.3 billion. My apology. I don't want the Catholics to be upset with me because, I have a lot of Catholics friends. 1.422 billion. By the way, you ready for this? They have 220,000 parishes worldwide. That's churches.
Wow.
They have 3,000 dioceses, 400,000 priests worldwide, 600,000 religious sisters, nuns.
Wow.
200,000 Catholic schools globally, 50 million students enrolled worldwide, 1,300 universities, 5,000 to 6,000 hospitals, 15,000 plus clinics, 16,000 plus homes for the elderly, disabled, orphans. I have had nothing but great experience with Catholics. Nothing. Here's where my challenge is. I've never had any issues with Jews. I've never had any issues with Catholics, but they have issues with each other. Okay.
Well, I don't think Jews have any issues with Catholics. I think
I don't know what you're talking about. And I've never experienced Catholics having issues with Jews.
old school Catholics, old school, had major issues with the Jews.
Yeah. Well,
and then I think in the 1960s they said, "You know what, God,
You want to go back 70 years? Yeah. Okay. Maybe. I'm saying, not in my lifetime.
guys, let's pump the brakes on all the Jew hate and all
listen,
that." But that still lingers.
Did you not, Tom? Did you not watch Godfather 3? What's Godfather 3 about? Do you really want to go through the history of Catholicism and how much power and authority and mob and finances and
You have its own military. It has a military.
There are so many things to go through. So for me, this is the problem.
Is that really true? The Pope opened a room for Muslims to pray in the Vatican? I did not know that. That's weird. That's really weird to me. That's so she's supporting her claim that the Pope is bringing about all religions under one roof.
This is the problem. For me, it's when you come in and take a judgmental position and your church has a history of a lot of issues, you're kind of contradicting yourself and you're a hypocrite. So you have to kind of be able to balance that. But at the same time, guess what? That's what comes. The Vatican has a lot of power. Think about if you wanted to have control over 1.422 billion people around the world in a sense. Christians couldn't pull this off. Mormons couldn't pull this off. Catholics pulled it off. What a power. And so here's a question. Who's more powerful? Can you run a poll, Rob? I'm actually so curious to know how the audience votes. I kind of have an idea which way they're going to vote, though.
And you want us to give up?
No, I don't want you to say anything. I just want to give it 3 minutes.
Okay.
Who has more power, Jews or Catholics? Does the Catholic Church have more power or Jews?
Such a ridiculous question. It's such a ridiculous question. Oh my God. So Jews and their power. you start off by saying, I'm gonna win. I'll answer that question with my own personal opinion. I'll give you this. By the way, I'm ending the poll here. Roughly 3/4 of you think Trump's AI image was not blasphemous. 74% saying no, not blasphemous. 26% saying yes. You start off by saying how Jews are decentralized. So, which is true. You know, J.H. Swallwell asked as a joke, and I answered it like, you know, historically and things of that nature. For the last 40 years, we can't even get on the same page on who to vote for. There's like no authority figure who this is the guy who, or a council, an established council of rabbis, whatever, who direct Jews. And if there were such a council, they would not be guiding 15 million Jews. They would be guiding the 2 million religious Jews, because the vast majority of Jews are not religious. Vast majority of Jews would have no regard at all for rabbinic authority. I'm not saying you can, you know, that's just reality. So whatever some rabbi says, even if he's the most, even if it was a Moshe Feinstein or, you know, someone, or Chavetz Chaim a century ago, vast majority of Jews today would hear whatever that person says and shrug and say, I don't care. So now when you're talking about Jewish power, you're basically, the implication behind it is that there's some sort of coordinated effort amongst Jews that I'm going to deal with you because you're Jews. See, because when you're talking about the Catholic Church, it's like, oh, because I'm Catholic and the Pope says this, so I'm doing this. If he said that, I would do that. So that's where you have someone acting in a certain way because they are Catholic, as opposed to, you talk about Jewish power, there are many Jews who have a great deal of power. Many Jews who have ascended one way or another, usually, often they might have a great deal of wealth or other achievements that they've accomplished. There are. There's a lot of blessings that God gives us. So there are a lot of Jews out there who have a great deal of power. But they don't work with other Jews because they're Jewish. I've never seen that. It's like, oh, because you're, it's like, it's not like there's a thing of like, the Jews getting together to do something. I remember when I was talking to this guy who was Jewish himself, who was basically talking about the whole, like, you know, theory of a Jewish cabal, whatever. He's like, well, I just don't understand. How could Jews have this level of success that they have without there being some sort of secret society organization behind it? And when I didn't think to say to him at the time, I was basically talking to him about how the American dream basically proves that that's bunk, because basically all they did was prove that the American dream worked. That's how they got their money, which basically was, if you work hard and you have half a brain and a little bit of good fortune, success is going to come your way. That's the American dream. It doesn't work in a communist country. It does work in America. But an even more powerful argument is, you know, if you think it's a cabal or some sort of, you know, them working together, how do you explain all the Nobel Prize winners? Like, was that a cabal that got them that? Norwegians are like controlled by the Jews, that they're like, oh, we're going to give this Jewish scientist, you know, this Jewish mathematician. So it's not a matter of saying I'm working with them because they're Jews. It's a matter of when it's a Jew who's doing something that a bunch of folks don't like, everyone, and then another Jew does it, and they happen to both be successful, the assumption is that they're doing it because they're Jews, even though there's nothing centralized about their Jewishness, or or any much of it, or any sort of noticeable distinction between them and a similarly aligned non-Jew. And that's why when you talk about Jewish power, I don't look at it as Jew power. I look at it as powerful people, many of whom are Jews, because they're not coordinated with each other on the basis of their Judaism or their Jewish DNA. They're coordinated with each other because they're similarly aligned and they're similarly positioned. And in that group, you might have a bunch of successful Jews. But they don't care about the fact that you're Jewish. They're not checking your foreskin. They're checking your bank account or your influence. And if you're Jewish, fine. If you're not Jewish, fine. But because there's a lot of Jews in that circle, it's regarded as Jewish power. But I think that's a misnomer. So again, I don't want anyone to say that I'm trying to disclaim that there are powerful Jews. There are many powerful Jews. But I think Jews, like, I genuinely believe that Jews are blessed by God. And that's, and I'll tell you something else. It's not just me who believes it. You believe it too. I'll prove it to you. I'm gonna prove it to you that you believe it yourselves. You might not realize you believe it, but you do. You wanna know how I'm gonna prove it to you? Ask yourself this. Why is it that when someone is really in trouble with the law, they're looking for a Jewish lawyer? Why is it that when someone is really sick, they're looking for a Jewish doctor? Is that the Jewish cabal which is convincing you to do that? Or is it a theory that, hey, you know what? They work hard and they're successful and they know what they're doing? Why would that be such a, everyone knows, you can watch any sort of cultural reference thing. It's an ongoing joke. It's like, oh, is your doctor Jewish? Why? Why do you want a Jewish doctor? So the cabal didn't talk you into that. So I thank God for his blessings, but I do think that it's blessings from God. So that's why, but I don't look at it as, but it's because as PBD points out, it's so decentralized. I don't look at this as something that's Jewish power. I look at it as something that there are people with power. Many of them are Jews, and they might work together, but not because they're Jewish, but because they have similar perspectives and approaches as to what they are looking for. George Soros will work with Bezos, both Jewish, but also work with Bill Gates. And, it's not like, I don't think that he has a preference for one over the other because of their DNA. And I happen to hate all three of them. So, yeah. I don't really care. I don't really care whether they're Jewish or not. I care about what they believe in and what they're promoting. Either they're promoting a healthier world or not. If they're promoting a healthier world, God bless. And if they're not, then I hope God strips them of their power. Because terrible people they're terrible people of every stripe. That's the sad reality of the world. Isn't there a verse about judging a tree by fruits? A biblical verse about judging a tree by its fruits? I don't remember seeing that. I don't know. I'm not sure if that's a Jewish or Christian verse. I'm trying to think where there is. It could be, it wouldn't be in Torah itself. It could be in prophets. But I don't remember seeing it. There's a huge mural of the serpent in the Vatican. That's not surprising. Jesus Enrique Rosas, the body language guy, who's a guy I enjoy reading, he weighed in on this whole David Axelrod theory. And he says, so the Pope met with David Axelrod last week. David Axelrod, Obama's campaign architect, a man who's not Catholic, has never met a Pope before, and his entire career has been engineering political narratives for the American left. I'll tell you, based on his name, he's probably Jewish. He's probably one of ours. And then, by pure coincidence, the Pope immediately started lobbing shots at the Trump administration, and 3 U.S. cardinals popped up on 60 Minutes doing the same thing. All organically, I'm sure. I'm a practicing Catholic. I need you to understand that part. But in my opinion, Trump has all the right to lash out at him. Maybe you'll disagree, but in the end, Trump talks like Trump. Water is wet. I'm talking about my church being run like a DNC satellite office, but with a golden throne. This is the same Vatican that watched governments padlock churches during COVID and said nothing, that let Biden take communion while funding abortion and said nothing, that fired Bishop Strickland for defending actual church doctrine, that removed Bishop Fernandez in Puerto Rico for defending religious exemptions. The catechism itself supports. But somehow, Trump is a threat to human dignity. Pope Francis was bad. Leo has turned out to be worse. Francis at least was vague about his politics. Leo went and hired the consulting firm. The man has ignored the slaughter of Christians across Nigeria, the Sahel, India, Syria, Bangladesh, Pakistan, hundreds of believers murdered, churches burned, pastors kidnapped. His response? Platitudes about dialogue. Of course, he won't even name who's doing the killing, but he'll fly across continents to make interfaith gestures the week after his people coordinated a media hit on a sitting U.S. president. The weaponization of belief is obvious. You get the Pope to pick a fight with Trump, and suddenly millions of conservative Catholics have to choose between their faith and their votes. Yeah, that's what you're seeing. I think he really nailed it, which is why I wanted to just share that with you. It is. It's trying to use religion to weaponize the vote. We'll close out this story with this. Close it out with this. Wow, border czar Tom Homan just gave the perfect response to Pope Leo. It's always good to finish with Tom Homan, right?
I'm not going to speak for the president.
Well, brave, everything plays low.
I'm speaking for myself, a lifelong Catholic.
I don't like how low these things play. I'm gonna bring in Chrome because it's louder. I gotta find like a volume boost thing for Brave. That wasn't it.
Speaking for myself. A lifelong Catholic. I wish they stay out of immigration. They don't know what they're talking about. Because if they wore my shoes for 40 years and talked to a 9-year-old girl that got raped multiple times, or stood in the back of tractor trailer with 19 dead aliens at my feet, including a 5-year-old boy that baked to death, if they understood the atrocities that happened on the open border, I think their opinion would change. And I welcome discussion with any of them because they don't understand. Illegal immigration is not a victimless crime. What President Trump had the most secure border in the lifetime of this nation right now. Lives are being saved. He's saving thousands of lives a year because he has a secure border. Human traffickers are out of business, right? The cartels are going bankrupt because of that secure border. I wish they'd understand that, because if they did, I think they have a different opinion. I'm not going to speak for the president.
It's a great point. Everyone thinks of it as being a victimless crime, but it's not. It's not at all. Tom Homan's great. They broke the mold when they made Tom Homan. That's my show, and I'm sticking to it. I thank you all for joining me tomorrow. I should have Sin on here, probably. Good chance. Good chance Sin's going to be back tomorrow evening. And yeah, it's time to quickly land the plane. So make sure you have your tray in the upright and locked positions. And stow away any loose articles of clothing or things that might rattle. Probably more important than the loose articles of clothing. snuggle up in bed, I guess, or whatever. I hope that if you're relying on me to help you drift off to sleep, I hope you're ready to sleep at this point. If not, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And definitely stay away from the lab meat, because that was never meant for you. It's meant for they, them. And do not eat the bugs. Just don't do it. Have a good night, everyone. As always, Godspeed.